Welcome into Momentous Trouble. Today we're talking about the Jedi Hunter Inquisitor box. Pretty excited about this one. It's going to be opening up a whole new archetype, I think, in this game. So let's take a look at what the Inquisitors are going to do for us. So who are the Inquisitors? Well, the biggest look that we've ever had of the Inquisitors is in the show The Rebels, in which the Inquisitors are there to hunt the Jedi. They go around hunting all the Jedi. We see the Grand Inquisitor here going after Kanan and hunting him down, along with the other Inquisitors as well, with the fourth sister, fifth brother. So we see a lot of them there. We do also see the Grand Inquisitor as well as Riva and some of the other Inquisitors as well in the Kenobi show. So, but that was the second time that we've seen them. So people that are not familiar with the comics may be quite familiar with the Inquisitors from the Kenobi show as well. So they are a very interesting group of people. They are basically, as the box says, Jedi Hunters. They are there to eliminate the Jedi that were not eliminated during Order 66 in order to keep that balance that the dark side so desperately wants in check. So let's take a look, though, at the Grand Inquisitor and the Inquisitors themselves as they are in this game. So we do start with our primary, who is the Grand Inquisitor, Fallen Jedi. He is a primary unit. He is 8 squad points, 3 force. He has 9 durability and 3 stamina. So a total of 27 damage can be taken by this character that we see. He does have 3 different tags of Force User, Galactic Empire, and Inquisitorius. This is the first time that we see this particular tag, and all of the characters in this box are going to have it. And there is one other character that is going to be having this, and that is Darth Vader, who we will be seeing in the Jedi, or which in the Cannot Run Duels box. So interesting character there. He is kind of locked a little bit behind a price point with those boxes, but if you are willing to buy it, you are going to have another primary Inquisitor. So let's take a look at his abilities. He does have one ability at activation, which is You Know Who We Are. I like this ability. It is at the start of your unit's activation, choose an allied Inquisitorius secondary character or an allied Inquisitorius supporting character. One character in that unit and the chosen character, and the one character in this unit and the chosen character may dash. So he upon activation, Grand Inquisitor and another Inquisitor, regardless of range, end up making a small movement, which is great. No force, of course, involved in any of these abilities because they are just upon activation abilities. He does have one active ability. It is going to cost you 2 force, though. It is called Secrets Uncovered. Choose an active objective within range 5 that is controlled by an opposing player. Remove the opposing player's control token from the chosen objective. Basically, you are just removing their ability to score that point in some situations. So if someone takes a point, like say your opponent takes a point, you move another person on to that point as well, but there's 2 non-wounded characters on that, one for you, one for your opponent. This basically removes it and stops them from scoring a point. I really like this ability. I think it kind of manipulates the game in a way that is not broken, but in a unique way that only that we haven't seen yet. And so I do like this ability. Of course, it does cost 2 force, so it is a pricey ability. But the Inquisitor here has a way. The Inquisitors have a way of dealing with that as well, which we will see in a second here. The third ability on the card here is the reactive ability of the Temple Records are quite complete. Again, this is going to cost you 1 force, until you get that first injury, of course, or in your second injuries. And this reads, when a character in this unit is targeted with a melee attack by an enemy force user, character, this unit may use this ability. This unit may flip its stance card from and the defender adds 2 dice to its defense roll. So one force basically allows you to choose the side. So if you are in a more attacking offensive side, you could of your stance card, you can switch it automatically to the defensive side, and you can also get 2 extra defensive dice. So a nice little ability there to kind of keep him from getting hurt, but again does cost a force. And he has one last ability. Of course, he has a primary, so this is considered a trait. It says clearly, you were a poor student. When an allied Inquisitorious character wounds an enemy unit, so it's any Inquisitorious character wounds any enemy character. So no stipulations on this, like we've seen in the past, where there's a stipulation of potentially having it having to be a primary or a secondary or something along those lines. Nope, any character. After that effect resolves, one allied Inquisitorious character may recover twice. So that's a heal or a remove a condition that you can do twice. And again, it's one allied, so any allied character. And again, the nice thing about this, is we'll see here, is the supporting units are 1 unit supporting units. So that whole unit basically will heal, because there is only one character per unit. But there is another piece to this. It is then, if the wounded unit was a force user, you refresh 2 force. So if you can take your Inquisitors and take out a force user, you're not only are you going to be able to recover, but you're also going to be able to heal 2 damage. So a really nice mix of abilities here that we get to see with our Grand Inquisitor. But let's go ahead and take a look at his stance cards and how those will stack up in this game. The first one we're going to look at is his Form to Makashi. So this one, and if you look at his stance card, is a little interesting, and we'll definitely jump into that as well. Now, the one thing I want to point out for here is this is another force user that actually has a ranged attack, which we don't see very often. So he does have a range 4 attack of 5 dice. He does have a melee attack of 7 dice, and both of his defenses dice are 5, whether it's melee or range. His tree is very interesting. At total, you can get basically we're looking at 6 down the tree he can go, because of the way his tree splits at the very end. So it's a pretty unique tree. But basically it starts out with 2 damage at 1 success. Then at 2 successes, you're still staying on the same path of just getting a damage and now a pin. And then it splits to where you can go with 1 damage and either have a strain or an expose. So he's really good at putting out these conditions basically at his first 3 successes. After that, he gets a little damage heavy and does 3 damage total at his 4th. On his 5th, he's going to do a dash and add another damage. And then lastly, he can either go up or down. And if he goes up, he's going to do 2 more damage. If he goes down, he's going to jump and do a damage. So he has a little bit of movement on this chart towards the end. Early on, he's adding some conditions. Regardless of which way he goes, at minimum, he's going to be doing 9 damage and 10 if he goes to the top end. So a lot of damage on his tree here, which is really interesting. I do kind of like the amount of damage and the mix of conditions and movement that he has on this card. He does have 2 expertise. For his for his ranged, it's Thrown Lightsaber is his ranged attack. 1 expertise gets you 2 successes. 2 to 4 is going to give you a critical and a success, and 5+ gives you a critical, a success, and 1 straight damage. If we're looking at him in melee, and I think this is kind of where he wants to be, based off of just the amount of dice that he rolls, he has his spinning lightsabers. 1 expertise is going to get you a crit and a damage. 2 to 3 is going to get you 2 crits and 1 damage, and 4+ is going to get you 2 crits and 2 damage. So really want to throw him into range here. Now on his expertise chart, he has Adaptive Fighter, 1 to 3 expertise on defense gives you 2 blocks. 4+ gives you 2 blocks, and you reduce that crit to a regular hit, which is really nice. So let's take a look at his other stance card, because of course he is a primary and is going to have a second side to his stance card. This one is more defensive, so this is the side that you're going to, on his ability, if you wanted to pay that 2 to flip and add 2 defense dice, this is kind of where you want to go. So on this side, if you flip to this side with using that 1 force ability, you could end up having a total of 8 defensive dice. So, and you also will also take a look, if we look at his expertise chart, you're going to see another reason why this is really good on defense. But this is his Form 5 Demso. Again, he does have a range 4 attack on this with 4 dice and a melee with 6, and then 6 across the boards for range and melee with his defensive dice. There's a lot of up and down on his chart here, but he does start out with a shove and a damage, and then it splits where you can either do a damage and a reposition or a damage and a disarm. So a lot of movement on this right off the front that we're looking at on this board. If you go to, or on this stance card, if we go to the third one, it's going to be 2 damage and another shove. If we go down to the bottom after that, for the 4th and 5th, you're looking at 2 damage and then 1 damage and a shove. If you go up top, you're looking at a pin and a damage and then 2 damage. So basically, it's an equal amount of damage across the board no matter what. And then lastly, he can do a reactive ability. Or an active ability, I should say, not reactive, an active ability if he gets all the way down his chart to the 6th success. But overall, no matter what, you are going to be doing the same amount of damage, which is 7 damage. It's just a matter of if you want to be doing some more movement or more conditions. Basically, it's what you're really looking at. But a lot of shoves in here, potentially up to 3 shoves and to reposition. So potentially a lot of movement that can be done down the chart with this particular unit. Now on his expertise side, again has the thrown lightsabers. 1 is going to get you 1 hit, 2 to 3 is going to get you 2 hits, 4+ is going to get you a critical and 2 more hits. Spinning lightsabers is going to, at 1 is going to get you 2 hits, 2 to 3 is going to get you a critical and a hit, and 4+ of course is going to get you 2 criticals and 1 damage. Now here's where it gets interesting, especially on the defensive side, is on his expertise chart. Adaptive fighter here, 1 to 2 expertise is getting you a block and a reduction of a critical to a damage, or to a normal hit. 3 is going to get you another block, the same reduction of a crit to a hit, but also then another reduction of a crit to a failure. And then 4+ is going to get you the same that we're looking at with 1 block. This one you're getting 2 crits reduced to failures and then a jump. So a very impressive defensive tree here and defensive stance card overall for the Form 5 Demso. But that overall is the Grand Inquisitor. He is going to come along with Riva, who is our secondary. She is again a unique character, more developed in the Kenobi show than we see her in any other media, at least small screen media that we've seen. But definitely a very ambitious Inquisitor, always aiming for that top spot. We see her more after, spoiler alert, after the Inquisitor has been killed. Grand Inquisitor has been killed by he wasn't killed in the Kenobi show. So I take that back. So Grand Inquisitor, when she's trying to set him up to get killed and take over for him. So it's a very interesting character here. But let's take a look at how that translates to the table. So this is third sister. Her name is Riva. She is a secondary unit and 1 character in her unit. She has a 4 point cost with 0 force. She has 8 durability and 2 stamina, so 16 total. She is the third sister. She does have the tags of Force User, Galactic Empire, and Inquisitorius. That word is going to be the end of me today on this particular video, but we'll see how that goes. So third sister has 2 active abilities. 1 is Call the Hunt. Choose an allied Inquisitorius supporting character within range 4, that chosen character may dash or make a 5 dice melee attack. So you want to make sure you are positioning her properly in the appropriate distance from the supporting Inquisitors that you have on board if you are taking them with you, which of course I would think that you would want to in this situation. Her other ability is Force Jump, which is basically just that one jump movement, which is a small movement tool. She has one reactive ability, and that is Deflect. After a ranged attack targeting a character in this unit is resolved, this character may use this ability. Again, this is no force, and let me go back and do say both of her active abilities have a force cost of 1 force. Going back to Deflect, again, after a ranged attack targeting a character in this unit is resolved, this unit may use this ability. If the attack roll contains 1 or more failure results, the attacking unit suffers 2 damage. This is Deflect, doesn't cost any force as long as she is not injured. So definitely a good thing to keep in mind there is put her to where she's not in melee range but can be attacked, so she can go ahead and deflect that damage back. She also has one more reactive ability. Your fear betrays you. Again, this is going to cost 1 force. When a character in this unit makes a melee attack as part of a combat action, before dice are rolled, it may use this ability. Remove 1 or more condition from the defender. So if the defender has conditions, you want to remove that condition, and you add 2 dice to the attack roll for each condition that was removed. So you can basically help them out by adding more dice to your attack. Now, that always is going to work into your benefit because you can only go so far down your tree. So you can only have so many successes. Building on that, let's go ahead and take a look at our stance tree and see how far we want to go down that tree, because like I said, adding dice may not always be something that you want to do. So looking at her, she does not have a melee attack, and she already starts out with 7 attack dice. She has 5 total defense at ranged attack and 4 at melee. And if we look at her chart, like I was saying, she only goes 5 down her chart. So adding dice, if you're taking a little bit of a gamble, but you can definitely help remove some conditions off of them to kind of make sure that you get all the way down your chart if you're really trying to get all of the damage out of her that you possibly can. So let's take a look at her chart though. It starts out with a shove and a damage, and then you can either go up or down. If you go up, you're going to give them an expose and a damage, and then a shove and a damage. If you go down, it's just 2 straight damage, and then again it's a shove and a damage. So the third position on the chart is going to be the exact same. So really you're just deciding whether you want to do 2 damage or a damage and expose at that second position when you're choosing which way to go down your tree here. At the 4th, we converge down into the same point, which is going to be another shove and 2 damage. And lastly, at the 5th is a jump and a damage. So there is a lot of movement that Riva has here. If you go all the way down her chart, she's getting 3 shoves and a jump. No matter what, at the very least, you are doing a total of, that would be 6 damage, potentially 7. So she doesn't have a high damage output as far as that is concerned, but you have the ability to add some extra dice to try and get to that point where you're going to get all the maximum out of her attack, and this is the form 2 Makashi. So as she doesn't have a range attack on her expertise chart, she only has her spinning lightsabers. 1 to 2 is going to give you a success and a damage. 3 to 4 is going to give you a critical, a success and a damage, and 5 plus gives you a critical, 2 successes and a damage. So you can squeeze an additional damage out of this if you get 1 expertise as well. So there is a way to pump a little bit extra damage in there. If they already have the expose condition, that might be another damage you can put on, but she's not a lot of damage type of a thing that you're looking at here on her. On her defensive expertise, 1 to 3 gets you 2 blocks, 4 plus gets you 2 blocks, and then you also are able to reduce a critical to a regular success on that. So she an interesting secondary. I think you're more taking advantage of the keywords here and the synergies there that she has, but she does definitely have a lot of movement on this stance, on her stance card, on her tree. So very interesting to look at. Now, here comes the uniqueness with our supporting units. What we have seen on every supporting unit up until this point in time has been that they are two characters in one unit. That is not the case anymore. We now have our supporting units that stand alone. They are singular supporting units that will basically just be by themselves. And I'm going to start out here with Fifth Brother. Again, a dual lightsaber Inquisitor. Mostly seen, he was seen in Kenobi, but not as prominently seen as probably in the Rebels show. But again, very very popular characters, and I do enjoy the idea of these characters and all of the Jedi hunters that they are. So let's take a look at what Fifth Brother has to offer us. He again is a 4-point cost supporting unit and just one character within that unit. He brings 0 force, just like every other supporting unit and secondary unit we have seen so far. But he does have quite a list of abilities. He has 9 stamina and 9 durability and 2 stamina. Same keywords that we've seen before with Force User, Galactic Empire, and Inquisitorious. He has 2 active abilities. The first one is one that I am really excited to see how I can utilize this on the table. That is Force Repulse. Now this does cost 2 force, so he is a pretty force hungry character. You can choose a and this reads, you can choose a character in this unit, push each other character within range 2 of this chosen character 2 away. So basically he just kind of gets there and just pushes everybody away. Really interesting displacement. Basically, if you can put him on a point and utilize this, you're just pushing everybody off the point and scoring it. He also does have the other active ability of Force Jump, where he basically is just 1 force, and you can pay that 1 force, and each character in this unit can jump. Now this is a very interesting ability as well. I do like this one. It's called Enfeeble, and it's a reactive ability. Basically, when a character in another allied Inquisitorious unit makes an attack as part of a combat action before dice are rolled, this unit may use this ability. So again, keep in mind, this is before dice are rolled. If the target character is within range 5 of a character in this unit, the target unit gains Expose. So you're putting Expose on a person prior to them rolling dice, meaning you are exposing them before they can utilize their expertise chart. I really like this ability. So you're turning their expertise chart off before they're rolling simply by being within range 4. And as long as he's not damaged, he is automatically putting this off and without any force. Really, I think this is going to be a really strong ability. And then he does have 2 innate abilities. First one is Resolve. While a character in this unit is contesting 1 or more active objectives, it has Protection and Steadfast. So 2 abilities just innately having camp. So 1, he can push people off the points, and then once he's on the point by himself, he has Protection and Steadfast. So you just want to put him on an objective and just let him sit there. So it seems like he's kind of pretty good that way. I think you want to kind of have him right there on, right down in the middle of the board, kind of just pushing everybody off and stuff too. So it's going to be, I think he's going to be a very fun model to have on the board. His last ability is Inquisitorial Mandate. When determining control of an active objective that a character in this unit is contesting, if there is a tie, this unit's controlling player takes control of that objective. He is a monster on objectives. He's going to push people off of them. He's going to have protection. He's going to have steadfast. And on top of it, if you have one other person there just by chance, he's still winning it. So very cool character. Very cool character. I really like him. And I'm really going to be excited to put him on the board and see how he plays. But let's take a look at this stance card of his and how that actually is going to play out too. So, looking at his stance card, no range attack, not something that we're really surprised by when it comes to the Force users. He does have 7 dice, a 7 dice melee attack on a supporting unit is strong. His defensive dice as well are 5 and 6, respectively, for ranged and melee. Keep in mind, I think part of this is the fact why these dice are so much better. It has to do with the fact that when you're making attacks with like your droids or your clones, you're getting 2 attacks. You're only getting 1 out of him because there's only a single unit. So he's going to be a little bit stronger than the normal supporting units that we've seen thus far. So he has a very interesting tree here. It basically starts with, you have 2 different starting points, and then it just combines down into a 1. So what we're looking at here is if you start out, you can either go with a damage and expose, or damage and expose, or a damage and a shove. So you can either put a condition on, or you can get a little bit of movement. And then it combines down into the 1 level, the middle level there, and it's going to stay there. You're going to get the 2, you're going to get a strain and a damage. At 3, you're going to get another shove and 2 damage. At 4, you get to use your active ability, and then at 5, you get to do 3 damage. So remember his active abilities, he has 2 different ones. He could either do a jump, or he can just push everybody out of the way. So, and that these are always for free. So you can, if you can get 4 down the chart, you're pushing everybody away by 2, and you're not having to pay the force for it. So you really what I like to do is try and utilize this ability. The abilities, the active abilities on the stance trees when at all possible. And then he has his 2 expertise charts. He has spinning lightsabers. 1 to 2 expertise is going to get you a crit and a damage. 3+ is going to get you a crit, a regular success, and a damage. And then he has Inquisitorious training. On his defensive expertise, 1 to 2 gets you a block, and 3+ will get you 2 more blocks. So that's Fifth Brother. And like I said, I really like him, and I like some of the abilities that he comes with. So he's going to be a very interesting character to put on the board and see how you can utilize him in the ways that I think that the Inquisitors are looking to get utilized. And I think a lot of that is just displacement. I think there is a really subtle, not so subtle displacement theme going on with the Inquisitors. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play out. But really quickly, let's kind of jump into the last character here, which is Fourth Sister. Again, just another supporting unit. But she is, again, that unique 1 model supporting unit that we haven't seen before. So Fifth Sister, again, is 4 point cost, single model supporting unit. She also has Force Jump, and she has an ability which is basically very similar to Jango Fett's ability, which is Force Pull. Both of these are going to cost 1 force. Force Pull basically is what choose a character in this unit and an enemy character within range 3, and you pull it range 2. So you just use her to pull someone off a point. She also has Enfeeble as a reactive ability, but hers is a little different. Same general idea as Fifth Brothers, but this one is different in one way. When a character in this unit, or with another allied Inquisitor, basically makes a range attack, or makes an attack, I should say, as part of a combat action, before the dice are rolled, this character may use this ability. If the target character is within 4, they gain pin. So if you can keep her and Fifth Brother both in the same range, both of them are going to put conditions onto the character. So they can both put, you can have one character getting attacked, an enemy character getting attacked by an Inquisitor. Yeah, let's say it's Riva, and Riva has both of these guys within range 4 of whoever she is attacking. She can put expose and pin on both of those characters. She also does have the inquisitorial mandate that basically, when determining the objective, if there's a tie, this character's controller is going to win the tie. So same ability. So basically makes this one count almost as 2 in a way with the Inquisitor. So it's very cool ability. Again, that helps you dominate that board presence by having 1 less character. And again, she does have 8 durability and 2 stamina. Swift Retreat is her last innate ability. When this unit is wounded by an enemy effect, after the effect resolves, 1 character in this unit may reposition. So you can get hurt, she can get hurt, and then you kind of just move her to a different position. So kind of important to remember where she is in the activation process, if you already have activated her before refreshing your deck or after, because if she gets wounded and then you're about to refresh your deck and you know you've already used her, you might want to move her back. Or if she hasn't activated and you only have a few cards left, you can potentially move her to where she can make an attack a little bit easier on somebody else by repositioning her when you reactivate her and refresh her and everything. So lastly, let's take a look at her stance card. Again, doesn't like to be in range to do her attack. She definitely wants to be up close. Doesn't have a range attack, has 7 dice melee attack and a 6 and 5 respectively for her range and melee. Just like her fifth brother, they start separated and then squeeze down into one. She has a damage and a shove on the bottom, or a damage and a pin or disarm on the top. It comes down combined into a pin and a damage, and then a shove and 2 damage at the third, and then an active ability again that she gets to use for free, and then finishes with 3 damage. So she has a total of 5 down her chart, looking at doing a total of 7 damage if she gets all the way down her chart, with the potential of putting either 2 conditions or doing 2 shoves. So a pretty decent card again here as well for a supporting unit. She does have her spinning lightsabers for her expertise chart. 1 to 2 is going to give you a damage and a critical. 3+ gives you a critical, a regular hit, and a damage. And lastly, on her defensive expertise, 1 to 2 is going to give you a block, and 3+ is going to give you 2 blocks. So again, looking at the Inquisitor box and how that is really going to be playing out for all of these guys, what we're really looking at, I think, for here is how they take and utilize displacement. There's a lot of displacement that we're seeing with all of these characters, and I think that's going to be the name of the game. If you're an MCP player, I think there's the Web Warriors players out there that just are all about displacement and movement shenanigans. I think this is kind of what we're looking at here with these guys. There's a lot of movement, a lot of controlling points, and everything along those lines. I mean, it looks like they do hit pretty hard, but I think the name of the game here is just is objective control with these guys and how they can move people around and just really have a firm control of those particular points and everything. But that's my thoughts on the Inquisitors as they are. As always, I do want to say thank you for listening today and tuning in. Thank you for watching us. Please go ahead and ring that bell to subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I do again appreciate each and every one of you, and may the Force be with you.